Here's 5 reasons why I think most people should be buying a laptop over an iPad or a tablet, considering it's going to be your main computing device. So reason number 1 is software. Okay, I'll admit it, the software experience on both Android tablets and iPads has come a long way from where it started when they first wanted to do the whole replacing a laptop thing. But for most people's work, or even basic tasks, the Windows or macOS experience is going to be most comfortable to use. Simple stuff includes like moving files or even like resizing windows. I know tablets are trying to make the whole multitasking thing a big feature with the split screen and everything, but that's just never going to be as convenient as taking a window and resizing it however you want. Even the fact that you can have multiple desktops and quickly switch between them. I know you can do the 3-finger swipe to switch apps on the iPad, but this is different. You can put multiple windows on there and have one which is like for work and then switch to one which you have just for media consumption or whatever you want. Okay, so the second reason is build quality, but more specifically build quality when the tablet is connected to one of those keyboard cases. There is no doubt the convenience of being able to lift up a laptop screen with one hand is just quicker and easier to do. And tell me if I'm the only one, but I just find the process of opening one of those tablets with a keyboard case so much more annoying to open and close than a laptop. But even worse is the fact that when you have a tablet connected to a keyboard case, all the computer parts opposite to a laptop are in this top section, which makes the whole thing so top heavy. I find that to be so much more annoying to be using on your lap, and it just doesn't feel secure even on a desk. It just feels like it can be knocked over easily. Even with the most expensive Apple Magic keyboard case, which is like £280, you still get a similar effect. And some companies try and combat this by making the base heavier, but that just ends up making the whole thing way heavier than even a laptop. Like the iPad Pro 12.9 inch with Magic Keyboard is slightly heavier than the M1 MacBook Air, and at least the Apple Magic Keyboard case actually opens similar to a laptop. What's even more annoying is when it's one of those cases that has a kickstand, so you have to both fold out the keyboard part and kick the kickstand out, which is so much less convenient than this. But yeah, that's my mini rant on why laptop form factors are just more popular and just more convenient than iPad or other tablet form factors when they're connected to a keyboard case. And number 3 is the keyboard and the trackpad. Now for most of the keyboards that are on the keyboard cases for the iPad Pro or the Galaxy Tab S8, they're getting pretty good, but in most cases the keyboard and trackpad experience on a laptop is just going to be way better. First, the trackpad. This is just fact. Trackpads on laptops are bigger, more precise, they're just better in so many ways. Not even just on Mac laptops, which are known to have some of the best trackpads. A lot of Windows laptops like the XPS 13 Plus are catching up in the trackpads, and they look even cooler than this one. And then the keyboard is more of a matter of size. There's not much difference in key travel distance between MacBooks and the Magic Keyboard case, but if we're talking about the older Magic Keyboard case, or any of those cases which have like felt keys and aren't actual mechanical keys, those are terrible, and you just can't compare it to a keyboard on a proper laptop. But my point is, on things like the 11-inch iPad Pros, the keyboard cases for those seem to have pretty small keyboards. And I've heard about some people finding the smaller keyboard to be a little uncomfortable for them, so maybe try it out if you have larger hands and you think you might find it uncomfortable too. I personally don't really. But also the trackpad size is pretty annoying even on the large iPad Pro in my opinion. But I would try these in store if possible because it's just preference. There's also the apps issue, which even though it's going to only apply to a small group of people, it's still pretty important. Some apps for work just aren't on the iPad. If you need something like Premiere Pro, that's just not on the iPad. And if you want to code something, you'll have to look into it, but I don't think there's many coding softwares for iPads. Either the app just isn't available on the Google Play Store or the App Store, or even if it is, it probably performs better on a laptop depending on which spec you get. And the final one, which is the most important, is the price. Okay, so let's compare the M1 iPad Pro with the M1 MacBook Air, just for the sake of comparison. Because obviously both have the M1 chip, so they're probably going to perform similarly. Not that you can really compare that much because they're running different softwares and different apps, but the base model M1 12.9-inch iPad Pro is £1,000 or dollars, which is the same size as the base model M1 MacBook Air. But that's not including the fact that you're either going to want the Apple Magic Keyboard case that comes with it, or the Apple Pencil, or even both. Most people are probably just going to buy the Apple Pencil and maybe a cheaper folio case, because who would buy an iPad at this price without the Apple Pencil, which is like its main feature? That would just be weird. That's another £120 for the Apple Pencil, which would make the total so far £1,120. And then if you want the Apple Magic Keyboard case, which is somewhat of a similar typing experience to the M1 MacBook Air, that's another $280, which would make the total with the iPad and the Apple Pencil $1,400, which is still worse performance than the M1 MacBook Air and $400 more. I shouldn't say worse performing because they both have the M1 chip, but it's just the pairing of the software and hardware on the iPad is just going to be less capable than the one on the MacBook. And even if you decide to get a cheaper case like the Logitech one, which is still $180 by the way, you're both still paying more, but also now the hardware experience is worse. Because there's no doubt that this laptop hinge design is far superior to the iPads. Now to be fair, there are some reasons why someone would get the iPad with the Apple Magic Keyboard case and the Apple Pencil. There are some proper advantages like having an iPhone quality camera on the back. You're getting 120Hz screen on the iPad, but other than those advantages, the price in some cases of comparison is a reason why a laptop might be a better value because of the accessories you might have to add onto the tablet to actually get those benefits, which ultimately might make it more expensive. I understand that some Android laptops are a lot more affordable, but those somehow have to sacrifice in screen size, and that makes the keyboard even smaller with the keyboard case that you get, or even for some the performance is worse because they don't have a laptop level chip. So the summary is, I still think most people should be buying a laptop over an iPad or a tablet. Most of the time it's going to be a better value for money. The device is generally going to be more capable of running certain apps. And in general, most people are going to buy a laptop for using specific apps, which benefit from the software and performance of a laptop. And even if your main use case is browsing Chrome or something, a laptop is probably going to be more convenient for you as well because of the better design of everything, from the keyboard to the build, and it will end up a similar price in most cases anyway. But there is a small group of people who would actually benefit from buying an iPad instead of a laptop for their main computer device. If their work needs a pen or they're in an app which always makes use of the Apple Pencil. I'm also aware that there's a group of students who have so much work that they would rather have all their notes handwritten electronically, which you would have to do on a tablet, which is the second type of person who should be considering a tablet, even though you should be aware that for basically everything else, a laptop is going to be much more convenient to use, but that might be a sacrifice you're willing to make. For those people, that's completely fair, but for the rest of you, you're probably going to have a better experience on a laptop than on a tablet.